Hare Krishna. Om Jnana-Smarandasya Jnana-Shilakya Chakshmanita Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati. Nirvisheshunyavadi Paschat Deshtarini Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sudhaita Bhava Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna. Okay, so where were we? We were discussing the first 19 of the 20 limbs of bhakti, and we were still discussing. We haven't finished yet on the last day. I think we still had at least one discussion left, right? I believe we didn't discuss 7 to 9, did we?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The Ekadashi part we didn't discuss.
Yeah, so that is Ekadashi is 7 to 9. That's Ekadashi.
Yes, Prabhuji.
7 to 9. That part was still pending. Okay. So who were the fortunate souls assigned to that? 7 to 9. Go
Me,
ahead.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay,
Please
fine.
accept my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, in this it is what it is given is observing fasting on Ekadashi in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. It is said that actually Ekadashi makes on observing that it makes us free from all kinds of reaction to sinful activity and advances in pious life. But the basic principle is not just to fast, but to increase one's faith and love for Govinda or Krishna. And the real reason for observing this is to minimize the demands of the body on that day and to engage our time in the service of the Lord by chanting or performing similar service.
So what's going on here? When you're talking about this one, what is said in Brahma Vaivarta Purana is not the real reason. Why Prabhupada is saying that? You see, he says real reason. So real reason is different from what is given in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. And there is a basic principle, not just a reason. There is a basic principle. That basic principle is, again, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. That is the basic principle. Unfortunately, Ekadashi is one of the, nowadays Ekadashi is, the glory of Ekadashi has been corrupted beyond recognition. Thanks to many apps, probably created by apes, not even proper human beings. It's like these apes who have created these apps. There's a whole chapter on Ekadashi, whole chapter. And that whole chapter means around 400 verses in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Entire chapter based on Ekadashi. You see? Unfortunately, that devotees have no access generally. All they have access to is this Karma Kanda, which they have posted everywhere, even on including those apps which our like this unsuspecting devotees use. And this is the kind of things which we find in those apps. This one. You see what is said? It says one who observes. It is for anyone. But the principle is not for anyone. The principle is for devotees. See, our time, our is not one. That is the difference. Here, Prabhupada is speaking to us, the practitioners. Whereas the Brahma Vaita Pran is speaking to the general people. The misfortune is that the whatever is there for the general people has been introduced to us. You see? And that's why we have got this corruption of Ekadashi. So when you're talking about Ekadashi, this is the principle and this is the reason. And this is what needs to be done. Best thing to do. That is to be done best. You can do other things also. That is not best. Giving charity on Ekadashi, doing that puja on Ekadashi, distributing till on Ekadashi, sesame seeds. They are not the best. Best is this. In one paragraph, Prabhupada tells everything that has been practically watered down in the last few years, last 10 years at least. I see ISKCON preachers, so-called preachers, have done entire Ekadasi seminar sessions. This Ekadashi, that Ekadashi, this Ekadashi, that Ekadashi. Simply karma kanda. It's basically serving poison. And I must say these things, and these things must go on record. All right, next, Shubham Prabhu, okay, go on. Only one question.
Prabhuji, my question is that if we are doing any activity that is in that center is Krishna, even though it is material or something like that, but center is Krishna, how that activity can be a karma kand?
Has to be center, no? It has to be center, and it cannot be even like there are things which are karma kanda outright, and there are things which are what do you call that? Karma mishra bhakti. So what is being preached in the name of Ekadashi in ISKCON nowadays? It's karma kanda.
So, Prabhuji, like
wait. I was drinking water. Wait, I haven't finished yet. Krishna can speak to Yudhishthir, and Krishna can speak karma kanda. In 10th canto, Krishna speaks karma kanda. Krishna speaks atheism also to his father to stop Govardhan Puja. So we have to figure it out that since Krishna spoke karma kanda and Krishna spoke atheism, am I to go and practice that? If that is the case, then Krishna is all good and Krishna is all bad. Krishna is death also, Krishna is poison also. So we have to figure out which Krishna are we interested in. That's what it is. So there is a Krishna for karma kandis. There is a Krishna in Sattva Guna also. When we concoct Krishna, these various kind of songs which we were singing the last week, in the praise of Krishna, but whereas Krishna's position where is minimized or not properly addressed, that is also Krishna. That may be Krishna in Sattva Guna. That is not our Krishna. So accordingly, Krishna has created the entire creation. He is responsible ultimately. So we are not easily wooed by that. That is the test. You must learn. That's the practice of the sadhaka, to differentiate between Krishna and Krishna. Just like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said once, my Radharani and their Radharani is different. Just like our Krishna and their Krishna is different. Those who are singing Radhe Radhe kahenge to aayenge Bihari, our Krishna is just opposite to that. We are not chanting Radharani's name to invite Krishna. We are chanting Krishna's name so that we get the service of Radharani. It's a very elevated concept. That is the proper standard Gaudiya Vaishnava concept. Whereas Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, our Supreme Mistress is again Radharani. So those people who are worshipping Radharani to get Krishna is just the opposite of us who are worshipping Krishna to get the service of Radharani. Although the relationship is with Krishna, but the service is with Radharani. You see, those who are Radharani's servants, they are servants of Radharani. But the rasa, the relationship with Krishna is of Madhurya. So that's why, like these unfortunate and miscreants who are polluting our philosophy by introducing ever new poison. And that's why we must go back to that verse again in this very book, and it becomes so much more important now. You see, Nana Shastra Vichar Nahi Kunipunau Sat Dharma Sansthapakou. Unfortunately, these preachers, unscrupulous preachers, are not this. They are not Nipuna, expert in Nana Shastra Vichar. And therefore, instead of establishing Sansthapaku Sad Dharma, they are establishing Asad Dharma. That which is not bhakti is part of the Asad Dharma. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. Save yourself while you still can. Save yourself while you still can. All right. The next one.
Sorry, I have one more question.
The follow-up question, I believe.
Yeah. Prabhuji, most of the things that currently we are like what is happening in ISKCON is Karma Mishra Bhakti. For example, the car puja that you said. So usually what we do, we put Lord Nursing Dev on the car and offer our obeisances to Lord Nursing Dev and pray that so that we can engage this car, you protect this car and we engage this car into the service of Lord. So how this become a karma kand, it would be karma mishra bhakti. Although we are using it also.
That is also karma mishra bhakti. It's just God knows what they are doing. They even don't know what they are doing. That's the point. The car is not being offered to Krishna. The Krishna has been appointed as the protector of the car. What is that? That's not bhakti. You don't know what it is. You see, it is neither karma kanda nor karma mishra. God knows what it is. That is called concoction. Utpate vakalpate. Shruti smriti puranadi pancharatrikim vidhim vina. Aikantikim harin bhakti. Utpate vakalpate. It's a disturbance to the society. Simply creating a disturbance. That's not even karma kanda because they don't know. And this is not even karma mishra because in karma mishra the result is offered to Krishna. Krishna is not engaged for our service. As soon as you say that, oh, Krishna, protect my car.
Yeah. So that it can engage, it can be engaged in your service.
Another story. I am offering it to you. So if I offer something to Krishna, okay, and say for example, I offer Krishna a glass of water. Krishna drinks half of it and then throws the remaining half away. Should I have a problem with that? No. So if the car is offered to Krishna and Krishna chooses to destroy that car, then
Okay.
I'm not prepared for that. You see? That's why first I'm telling you, oh Krishna, you please protect that car. And then it will be used this and that. So there's a condition. So I will only use that card in the service if you protect it. If you don't protect it, forget it. So getting my point, the concept is not clear. Where it is not clear, it cannot be pure. Either it is karma, or it is jnana, or it is yoga, some misconception. You see? Nectar of devotion leads, like the nectar of devotion, when it is not properly understood, then you go to the next stage, nectar of deterioration. And when you have enough deterioration, then you go to nectar of deviation. That's what it is. It is what it is. That doesn't mean my saying like these things will stop. And I also don't expect that you may not be victimized even after this. You might be a victim of this. But at least you will know what is what. And that is what Krishna consciousness is. Knowing who is who and what is what. Okay. Let's move on. Jyotimaji, we still have got banyan tree, right?
Prabhuji, this is not, it was not in my part. It was there.
So what was that? It was like accepting this we covered. Accepting what is necessary, we covered that.
Yes, actually, before that, Ekadashi, the glory of the Dham, and before that one point, these three were there for us.
Yeah, but this is covered.
Yes, this is covered.
Covered. Okay, good. So now, I think somebody messaged something was still 4 to 6, right? That remains to be covered. Yeah, okay, fine. That's 4 to 6. Okay, go on.
So, following the footsteps of a saintly person.
Oh, that's
So,
you. Okay,
yeah.
go on.
So following the footsteps means like what we're saying should be aligned with the Shastras. If someone is posing as a devotee, he should his words should align with the Shastras, or else it would be considered as a the word here it is given as Sahajya. As
Yes.
it is emotions without philosophy is Sahajya.
You
It's all
see?
sentiment.
And then
So
on that, remember on that day we were discussing, oh, Acharya can change Shastra. Go ahead.
so even this principle is even applied on the incarnations of the Lord, that is Lord Buddha, because the devotees of the Lord Buddha are not called devotees because Lord Buddha's philosophy was not aligned with the Shastras. So the devotees of Lord Buddha also not are not devotees. So this is the main principle that the words of the Acharya or the devotee should align with the Shastras. That is to reach the highest destination of the human form. That is to develop love with the Krishna.
Yes.
And if it is not, then sorry, it is not the
Yes. So
Acharya.
the Buddhist philosophy is the example. This is like the principle was discussed in the previous paragraph, an example. Like, like what, like it cannot be a more powerful example than this. When we put God on trial, we're putting God on trial. Good, very good, very good. Yeah, perfect. I would say it's perfect. It's just so those who are like want to understand the Buddhist philosophy and the Buddha and the position of Buddha in the Vedic paradigm, this paragraph is very important. So of all places, this has been discussed here in Nectar of Devotion. We might not be expecting that here, but as what it is here, it's being discussed. Okay. How about this?
So, inquiring about the eternal religious principles. So, as stated here in the Naradiya Puran, that one who is actually want to, who is actually serious in the devotional service, certainly would like ask questions, and it is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya.
Abash.
So it is like very basic thing. We should inquire from the Guru and we should render service onto him. So that is the basic principle. If you want to know God, you have to inquire.
Yes. And inquiring is a limb of bhakti, not a preparatory step for bhakti. It is limb of bhakti. So good. I think we had, I was blabbering on that. Okay, now this one.
Being prepared to give everything material for Krishna's satisfaction.
Krishna Priya Mataji has raised, yeah, hand up. Krishna Priya Mataji, go ahead.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Ratnamaji.
Because since we are discussing about inquiring, so before we move further, I request you to please clear this. In the preface, it is mentioned when he met Lord Chaitanya first. Again in the second
Yes.
page, so I'm not able to understand, like it is in my book or it's in everybody's book. It is mentioned Rup Goswami first met Lord Chaitanya at Prayag, and in the preface, at the starting, there's again
That's a closed book question. That's a closed book
yes.
question, right? Yes.
So, what is the correct thing?
Rupa Goswami met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Prayag. That's the answer. Because the person who met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Ramkeli was not Rupa Goswami. It was the Birkhas.
Okay, that logic is right.
That's what it is. Because the name Rupa Goswami was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's a very important part. So because if the Guru can change the name, and that is the connection between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami, and Prabhupada goes so far to claim that that is the evidence that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initiated Rupa Goswami. Change. Let me see if I can find that for you, that purport. Because changing of the name is one of the 5 features of what do you call that? Initiation. I think I almost found it. Let me see if this is the thing. Yeah, this is it. Here, Chaitanya Charitamrita. You can see the evidence here. Madhya Leela, first chapter, verse number 208. It is to be understood. You see? Lord accepted them all and changed their names. It is to be understood from this essential to change his name after this. And he is quoting, you see, Padma Puran. The disciples' name must be changed. The Sahajiya Sampradaya does not change his name. You see?
Which part of Madhya Leela it is?
Here it is. 208.
208.
My dear Sakar Malik, from this day your name will change to Rupa and Sanatan.
So he's giving initiation at
Aji hoite, yes, Aji hoite, Duhar Naam Rup Sanatan.
So he is giving initiation at Prayag.
Yes. And according to Prabhupada, this tantamounts to initiation. Changing of the name by the spiritual master is an element of initiation. So far other things are concerned, they had it. They had it. This tilak, what you are seeing on my head, okay? This particular tilak, which you see on my head, what we use in ISKCON, this is the standard Gaudiya tilak. And this tilak is coming right from Rupa Goswami. Different schools within our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya have got different tilaks. And it is on the base of tilak that you identify a person from a different, what do you call that? Different sampradaya. Okay. So when you're talking about this particular tilak, and that's why that you don't see, what do you call, Rup Sanatan having any tilak, because the tilak will be determined now by Rup Goswami. Okay. So these are very important part of our history. Let me see if I can show you other tilaks, if that is still, I still have it in the one of my, yeah, here it is. Now to see how to show this to you. Wait. Okay, let's go one by one. You see, Gaudiya tilak, this is the same tilak which I am wearing. This is the tilak of Rupa Goswami. You see the Madhva Sampradaya tilak? Can you see this? Our predecessor tilak was this. Let me disturb you more by telling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't used to wear any tilak. Generally. Guess why? It's because after, I am talking about after sannyas, not before sannyas. After sannyas. Because according to Mayavadi sannyas, you don't have any tilak, you don't have any shikha. You don't have any Gayatri thread. Because all of this are part of Varnashram, and when you take sannyas, so you leave all of that. So they say, danda dharan matrena, that means if you take the danda, the ekadanda, not the tridanda, ekadanda, danda matra dharan matrena, naro, narayana bhavet. So as soon as a person, he accepts the ekadanda sannyas, he becomes Narayan. Dharana matrena naro narayana bhavet. That's why they address each other as Om Namo Narayan. So since you have become Narayan, so Narayan is above Varnashram, therefore no tilak, no shikha, no Gayatri thread, nothing. Okay. So then you may, if you are a Shiva devotee, you can wear the Tripundra. So that's why generally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu won't. But then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Vrindavan and Radhakund, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the mud from Radhakund and he took, he like made tilak. He wore tilak. So that's the indication that is Vaishnava. So these are the, you see, Gopal Bhatta Goswami Sampradaya. This Babaji recently left his body a few years ago. We used to go to Gopal Bhatta Goswami's temple, always meet this Babaji. Gopal Bhatta. You see the Gopal Bhatta tilak? It's a little different. Nimbarka Sampradaya tilak, yet different, of course. But let's go back to our Gaudiya tilaks, and you will see even in our parivar, you see, Gadadhar Pandit's parivar, they have got this kind of tilak. Okay. You see, Advaita Acharya's parivar, they have got this kind of tilak. Very thin. You see, our tilak is not so thin. It's a little broad. See here. Found it? So these are different. So like when you are wearing tilak, you must know how to wear your tilak. So these are the 5 elements of Diksha. So since the tilak, because the Sampradaya, our specific Sampradaya was not yet established, that was established by Rupa Goswami. Then the tilak was decided. Prior to that, we used to wear the Madhva tilak, which I showed you, the black one. Okay. So that's why the name was changed. Everything else is coming gradually. Naam, Tap, Yag, Mundra, Mantra. It's all coming. Okay. It's like that. Good. Harshika Mataji, you have your hand up. You have a question or you wish to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
I
Maji,
have
go
a
on.
question.
Vishapa Maji. Please go
Yes.
ahead.
I have a question कि स्वरूप लक्षण and तटस्थ लक्षण, इस पे question है मेरा कि you said in the class the session 2 that the shalok वो जो हमने पढ़ा था, ठीक है, उसमें जो है,
Anyabilashiта Shunyam.
जो हाँ जो first 2 lines हैं वो तटस्थ लक्षण है and the second 2 lines are स्वरूप
Exactly.
लक्षण, ठीक है.
Yeah,
तो उसमें
precisely.
हमने ये पढ़ा था कि जो है ना, जो स्वरूप लक्षण है, जो वो प्राइमरी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं, that is
Yes.
devotional service,
Yes.
ठीक है. And then what makes it pure, that is तटस्थ लक्षण,
Fine.
ठीक है.
Correct.
तो उसमें स्वरूप
Right on the mark.
लक्षण में अगर मैं बात करूं तो स्वरूप लक्षण इसके आपकी जो एक्टिविटीज हैं, ठीक है, अनुशीलनम, कल्टीवेशन, हमारी एक्टिविटीज, वो जो
Yes.
एक्टिविटीज हैं वो क्या होनी चाहिए, अनुकूलियन है, फेवरेबल होनी चाहिए.
Yes. Yes.
अगर वो फेवरेबल है, ठीक है, अगर वो फेवरेबल है तो वो प्योर हो गई डिवोशनल सर्विस. तो हमें तो तटस्थ
No, 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 no,
लक्षण
no,
की
no.
नीड नहीं है.
Wait. Pure नहीं हो गई. Devotional service हो गई. अगर वो
अच्छा.
फेवरेबल नहीं है तो वो
हम्म.
डिवोशनल सर्विस ही नहीं है. Yet there can be a connection with Krishna. That's why we use the examples of Kamsa. We use the examples of Shishupal. We use the example of that, what is that name? That fool, 400, Pondra.
Oh, Kumaras.
No, not 4 Kumars. Pondrak. 4 Kumars are devotees. Come on. It's Pondrak. So they were all connected to Krishna. They were all 24 hours thinking of Krishna. But it was not anukul, it was not favorable. It was rather pratikul. They were enemies of Krishna.
Now got this. Thank you.
Good. I am very, I am very, very happy and actually feeling very grateful to see that you have so, what should I say, so comprehensively understood the primary and secondary aspects of devotion. I must congratulate you. Please accept my congratulations, because it's not even after this Bhakti Shastri, people don't get this. And it becomes very frustrating. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. The last one is remaining, I believe. And that one is, let us go back to the inquiring. This one, yes. Being prepared to give up everything material for the satisfaction. Right?
So,
Shubha Prabhu,
yeah.
go on.
So as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Bhog Aishwarya Prasaktanam Tya Apratas Chetasam Vyavsatmika Udes Mavdhana Vidhiyate. So if our minds are totally engaged in the sense object, so certainly we can't understand Krishna. So we have to leave all this sense gratification and what to say about the spiritual emancipation, the liberation also. We have to leave the liberation. And the telltale example, very good example of this is gopis. Gopis who left every single thing for Krishna, even their dignity, I don't know it is the right word or not, but
Yes. What is the care for dignity?
so their husbands and their mother-in-laws, they used to curse them, but still they used to go to Krishna and enjoy in their Ras Leela. So if we are ready to give up everything, then certainly we'll get Krishna. As said in Gita also, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. We have to leave everything.
Perfect. Perfect. These are like perfect quotations from Bhagavad Gita. Perfect quotations from Bhagavad Gita. Perfect example of, I mean, what more can we discuss about, like example can we give if we are quoting gopis? So that the debate ends there. So yes, and certainly, what like see, it's a do. Technically, you might feel that it should be part of the don't, but it's a do. The don't is a do. You see, asat sang tyag. It's like that. It's not the same thing. It's different. This is like Krishna arthe akhila huta tyaga. Krishna arthe. For the sake of Krishna, oh, I can believe everything else. If that is the case. You don't have to leave everything for Krishna, but if this is required, then you should be prepared to leave everything. That's the point. See, that is the subtlety here. You see, oh, I have left everything for Krishna. Did Krishna ask you for that? Sort of idiot. You see, so when Krishna is asking, demanding that, then Sarvadharman Parityaja. So that is the difference. So if in the service of Krishna, the spiritual master who is the representative of Krishna, he asks that you give up everything for the service of Krishna, then only you give up. It's not that I have simply given up everything. You see the difference? There's a major difference. That is sentimentalism. We see so much in ISKCON. Oh, I have left everything. For what? I have everything for Krishna. But did Krishna ask you to leave everything? No. Then? So the Krishna, either Krishna directly does that or Krishna's representative says that. Then when you leave that, that becomes a do. About this thing. All right. So then with that, we have covered all the 19 limbs. And now we will go to the limb number 19. You see? Because we have covered 19 limbs, but that didn't include limb number 19. We will go there in a while. But before that, a very, very important cardinal concept. I would say this is the one of the central concepts of devotional service. Devika Maji, do you have electricity? Yes? No? I can't hear you. Yes? Oh, I don't. Yeah, I don't. Today it's my turn. Good. 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 So, this is what we are going to discuss now. I would say the nectar of devotion will become incomplete without this. Just one paragraph. Let's go there. Okay. This is what it is. Rather, I would rather urge you to just read this one paragraph yourself. Take 5 minutes and just read on this paragraph for yourself. Okay? Just this one paragraph. In case you don't have the book, I am keeping this open here. Okay? So that you can read it from here. Let me see. Yeah. This like it has covered the whole thing. Let me turn off my video. Okay. Take 5 minutes and read it for yourself. Then we will discuss. All right. Who needs more time? Who needs more time? And raise your hand. Somebody needs, anyone needing more time? Right, fair enough. So I believe that we don't need more time. So I need a volunteer. You can explain what is principle. Five minutes ago. Good. How many minutes did I spare it for you? 5 minutes? Or 10 minutes? I don't know. Anyway, it's good. So would you like to lead the charge?
Yes, Prabhuji, can you please share the screen?
Yeah, I can share the screen. But what is what do you mean by principle?
Principle, the basic rule we can say, which we all have to follow the regulation. Okay, so Shrarup Goswami
Basic rule.
would say,
Basic rule.
basic rule is Shrarup Goswami has mentioned is that we have to accept, take initiation from the spiritual master.
That's
If,
an
for example, he
example.
mentioned the,
That's an example. I'm not asking for the example. I'm just saying, just explain what you mean by the term principle. That's all. And you said basic rule. So the basic rule, if it's a principle, okay. So can the principle be positive or negative? Can a principle be positive or negative? Principle.
Depends on the person, Prabhuji.
Principle depends on the person.
Yes.
That's interesting. Interesting. Okay. Can you explain that?
जैसे कि अगर हम एक चोर की बात करें, वो चोरी करता है, ये उसका प्रिंसिपल है ना, वो फॉलो कर रहा है अपनी वैल्यू को, चोरी कर रहा है, तो ये तो नेगेटिव प्रिंसिपल है हमारे लिए, सोसाइटी के लिए, तो ये एक नेगेटिव प्रिंसिपल हुआ। लेकिन वैसे अगर जैसे ऑनेस्टी एंड डिसऑनेस्टी बोथ आर हमारी चॉइस, तो हम कौन किस चीज को अपना प्रिंसिपल बनाते हैं, डिपेंड्स ऑन अस।
बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा। सो ऑनेस्टी जो है या डिसऑनेस्टी, इज इट अ प्रिंसिपल? Is honesty a principle? Value. Good. Thank you. You are very intelligent. Honesty or dishonesty, both are values.
Values.
Not principle.
Not principles.
The principle is based on the value. Any principle one must be able to trace back any principle to a value. That's how you identify a principle. How do you identify that this is a principle? That the principle by itself we should be able to trace it back to a value. Honesty is not a principle, but there are almost all principles are based on honesty. Cleanliness is not a principle, it's a value. But almost all principles are based on this value of cleanliness. You see? So we are looking, the principles are there for a development of a value. And then, in order for us to execute the principle, we require details. Therefore, principles cannot be based on person to person. Principles are universal, details are subjective. Details value from person to person. When you said you bought that example for the thief, thievery is a value, and therefore his principle is to like commit thievery. Actually, it is a detail. If thievery is not a value and it's a principle, one must commit thievery is not a universal principle, then how can you say that it is like based from person to person? Principle by its definition has to be universal. Murphy's law.
Yes.
You know, that's universal.
There's need for the benefit of all.
Yes. Benefit or not benefit, it's a law. Death is a principle, not a value. You cannot say it's positive, but it is. It is universal. Getting my point? Principle has to be positive, negative, different thing. Positive and negative is
It must be
positive.
accepted by everyone.
It has to be accepted. It doesn't even care for your acceptance. Gravity is a principle. Does it take your permission? If you slip if you slip, then that's it. Who cares for your permission? Principles can only be formulated by the creator. The one who will create will have the power to command. That's it. If you can create something, you will command it. Just like if I am the creator of this remote control, I know how to command it.
How to command it.
How to set its limits. So therefore, principle is only the exclusive domain of the creator. Behind the principle, there will be a value. Value is the seed from which the root of the principle comes out, and the branches of that tree are the details. Yeah, which may vary from person to person. Principle won't. You cannot change the principles, but you can only adjust the details. So that is the universal thing that applies to this case, just like when Harshika was explaining the example. So that one has to accept a spiritual master is a principle. It's a universal principle. That's a universal
Everyone has to follow.
Yes, you want to go back to Godhead, you have to follow this. No exceptions. Universal. But exactly how you will follow, as Harshika was about to go there, that is person to person. This is person to person. That is not person to person. Detail will vary with every single person. Krishna Priya Mataji, you have hand up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I would just like
Yes,
to
Mataji.
add, just like the first principle is given, accepting the shelter of lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. So that is the
Yes.
principle. Now the
Yes.
detail would be under, it should have from the four Vaishnav Sampradayas, either
Four
Nimbacharya,
sampradayas.
Rudra. So
Four
that is depends
sampradayas.
on the
Even in a
person.
sampradaya, your spiritual master may be like Gopal Krishna Maharaj. Somebody's
Yes.
spiritual master may be Loknath Maharaj. Somebody's may be Radhanath Maharaj. It's just like that. So that
Those
is
are
a detail.
details. Yeah.
That's a detail. But that you have to accept a spiritual master, either A or B or C. That's the principle. So this portion, that's why I said this is the compass. This one paragraph is the compass through which the entire 64 limbs of bhakti will be governed. If you don't understand this, and it is not like in one class you will understand, you won't. Neither am I expecting. It is through the practice over the years, when over and over again, you come back to this paragraph and see what is a principle and what is it. Because the biggest mistake which most devotees do, and as a result of that, it becomes very difficult for them to advance, is when they confuse between principle and detail. When you accept a detail as a principle, and you might compromise or adjust a principle, thinking it to be a detail. That's why I'm saying over and over again, you must be enabled to recognize the principle. Enabled to recognize the principle, you must be able to go back to the root of the principle, which must be a value. If you do not find any value to a principle, beware. It might not be principle at all. Remember when we were discussing 4 regulative principles? And I asked, what are they? And you said no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. Are they principles or are they details? Pandit Gadadhar Prabhu, go on.
Prabhuji, please accept my apologies. What I feel like, so those are principles only.
Those are details, not principles. Because that is based on 4 values. Mercy. You see? Truthfulness. Yes. Yeah. Cleanliness and austerity. Values. Those are the don'ts which break those values. Now, see, there are important details, but they are not complete. Look, you don't gamble. Okay? Most of the people don't gamble. At least they don't gamble intentionally. Okay. Some things might be gambling. You don't know what is like. That's a detail. Again, detail. But as a matter of principle, people don't gamble. Many of those people don't gamble. So the principle it is serving is truthfulness, right? So if I am a liar, so for example, I'm a compulsive liar. So am I practicing the principle? You see, not fully. I've still got to improve. That's the point. So no illicit sex. Generally, it's difficult to have illicit sex. It's not easily available anyways. You know? So by default, okay, I may not be indulging in illicit sex. But can I say that I'm clean? You see? So that's it. So like, these are important milestones towards the principle. But by themselves, they are not principles, they are details. That's why you see, it's like, that's why this happens. Like when we deal with neophytes are following the four regulative principles, but we don't see those values. Values are missing because that is not the end. That's just a means, as there are other means also. So, and devotees, like say sadhak bhaktas, they don't eat meat. Yeah, we understand that. But how many sadhak bhaktas, say for example, they're riding a scooter or a bike or a two-wheeler, will stop to help a person who has met with an accident on the road? Very few. So although I am not eating meat, but the value of mercy has not developed to that point where it is supposed to be. That means more work needs to be done. So those are important details. So the principle must go back to a value. When you will see these 64 limbs, that would be an interesting exercise. If you start looking at all the limbs one by one and try to connect it back to a value. Because that's what you see in Bhagavad Gita. You see in Bhagavad Gita, verse number 13 to verse number 19. You guys have already done Bhagavad Gita, right? Middle 6 chapters?
No, Prabhuji. Last 6 chapters are pending. Middle 6 done.
So last 6 chapters, okay, but at least the middle 6 chapters.
Yes, those done.
You have covered the middle 6 chapters, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so the last chapter of the middle 6 chapter, which is 12th chapter, you will find for verse number 13 to verse number 19, there are a list of values. And at the end of every verse, Krishna says, Same Priya. A person who has got any of this value is dear to me. But in the 20th verse, he says, Sa Ativa Me Priya. If anybody has got all these qualities, he's very dear to me. That's natural. If I've got one quality is dear to me, but if he has got all the qualities, certainly is very dear to me. So all the limbs of bhakti, they, as a concomitant, as a secondary factor, produce values. Because if you are following a principle, it must produce the value. If I am practicing thievery, then the value of thieving must be produced, and I must be comfortable with that. You see? So it's like the same thing. So when we are executing devotional service with the 64 limbs, this is direct devotional service to Krishna. The idea is to please Krishna, nothing else. The values, they come on their own because we are practicing this. That's exactly what we discussed a few lessons ago. These values are produced as byproduct of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, they also become eternal. Whereas the same values, when I'm practicing on my own, I think there's an internet problem. Can you hear me out?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. I think there was something because most of the screens are frozen. When most of the screens are frozen, that means the problem is with me. So that is that continuing with that thing. So if I am practicing honesty for the sake of honesty, I will develop the quality of honesty under the 3 modes of material nature. That will give me that. But when I die, next birth, I won't be born honest. When I am practicing devotional service as the concomitant factor of that one limb, It is producing honesty, just like we were discussing this. Straightforwardness in ordinary dealings. You see, last time we were discussing. So we are practicing straightforwardness in ordinary dealing. We are not practicing honesty. But the quality of honesty will come as a result of following that limb of bhakti, and that honesty won't leave us even when we go back to God. That is the difference. All right. I don't know how much like I am able to impress upon you, but I'll take some time gradually. Okay. So now come back to the principle and detail. You see? Regulative principle, you see the same sentence? Regulative principle of devotional service. Not for regulative principles. You see? So whenever Prabhupada is writing regulative principle alone or regulative principle devotional service, he's talking about the regulative principle devotional service. He's talking about Vidhi Bhakti 64 limbs. He's talking about principles, no? Not talking about details. But when you say 4 regulative principles, then we understand. See? Why? It says all our senses must be employed. The classical definition of bhakti. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevana, Bhakti Ruchate. This is part of your memory verses. It's there in your handbook. You see? Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevana, Bhakti Ruchate. This must be all our senses must be. All. So now that may be a question, Prabhu. Some of the senses are relatively easier to employ, whereas some of the senses are relatively difficult to employ. Say, for example, if we say that our senses of like passing stool and urine, okay, they are senses. And how do I employ those senses in Krishna's service? So they are relatively difficult to employ. We understand that. You see, so some are relatively difficult to employ, and they might not be employed always. Just like we are undergoing the vow of Ekadashi only on Ekadashi. Similarly, these two senses might not be always in use, but maybe it's somewhere in use in devotional service. Then we employ. That's it. All right. Just like, okay, you might be thinking that when do we apply our genitals or the evacuating organ in Krishna's service? And it is daily. It is part of Archanam. It is part of deity worship. That is called, what do you call that? Purvanga karma. Preliminary activities. Part of the preliminary activities is to take bath, evacuate. It is clearly written. So evacuation, passing urine is also devotional service. But like any other limb of devotional service, you must know that they are devotional service and must engage it as such. Even without knowing, everybody is doing that. That's natural. So when it is natural, it is under the 3 modes of material nature. But when I know that this evacuation or passing water is part of my engagement of devotional service, then it is devotional service. Let me show you that, because it might still be having some, you might be still be having some doubts in your mind. So let's go to, where do we go? Handbooks and references. Here it is. Pancharatra Pradeep, DT worship manual, right? You see, it's DT worship manual. God. Ha ha ha. You see, just like we clear the Lord's teeth, similarly, we will find for ourselves also. You see, method of DT worship for the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, compiled by GBC DT Worship Research Group. Let's go there. See? What is unclean, what is clean. While worship, you should not do this, do that. And that is part of here. Preparation for worship and abhigaman. Clear cut. When you are going for DT worship, this is part of your worship. You see? Here, Prata Smrita Kritya, morning duties. What are morning duties? Everybody understands that. There's a Sanskrit term for that. Prata Smrita Kritya or Abhigaman. Sense have been left out. No sense have been left out. All the senses have been engaged in devotional service. You see, this is Prabhupada writing. Brushing your teeth is devotional service when you are going for archana. If you are not going for archana, then it falls under the three modes of material nature. Here, for waking, tying the shikha, dressing, bathing, direct devotional service. When you are going for archana, these are the subcategories of archana. Just like we are seeing the 64 limbs of bhakti list, when we go to the archana, item number 23, it itself is subdivided into 64 limbs. And these, brushing your teeth, evacuating, even passing water, are part of that. We don't accept a person for archana if he is not clean. You see? Now you might think, what limb of bhakti is passing water or urine? Principle. One must pass water, urine, and all of that. And you might think, hey, what is this? This is normal, natural. How is it related to bhakti? Go back to the value. What is the value? Cleanliness. Getting my point? That's why I said every principle you must be able to relate it back to a value. Otherwise, it is not a principle. That's your mistake. Then you can immediately, you can figure this out. Oh, it must be a detail. It cannot be a principle. That's how you determine. That's why I said this is the compass around which the whole 64 limbs you can figure out only after you understand this. Yes, chapter 8 explains offenses to be avoided. Why? Because offenses can only happen due to 4 things. There are 4 values. When you are offending, first value which is broken is respect. Respect is not a principle, it's a value. Second offense, second value which you can break when you commit an offense is cleanliness. That is not a principle, it's a value. Third, when you are offending something, it's because of lack of faith. Faith is a value. Okay. And the fourth one is lack of faith, knowledge. Knowledge is a value. The fourth kind of offenses happens because of ignorance. Ignorance is not a value. Offenses fall in this category. Lack of respect, lack of cleanliness, lack of knowledge, and lack of faith. So basically, lack of these 4 values. So the principle must be traced back to a value. That's how you will do this, you will execute the devotional service. Taking Charnamrit. One must take Charnamrit. Now, what is the value? It is devotional service direct, and the value, the concomitant value it might generate is cleanliness. Because that is the mantra when we chant the Charnamrit. It mentions the value. Vishnu Padodakam Pitvar Shirsha Varyami Aham. That means it cleans. Cleanliness, it's a value. It's both external and internal cleanliness. Taking Charnamrit. You see? When you are circumambulating, what is the parikrama mantra for any mantra? We understand that, oh, only Tulsi, we have got a parikrama mantra. But the mantra for Tulsi parikrama is a generic parikrama mantra for any parikrama. When you say Yani Kani Cha Papani Brahmati Kani Cha, Tani Tani Pranashyanti Pradakshina Pade Pade. Does it mention the name of Tulsi? No. So it is the same Pradakshina mantra can also be used for Guru. Same Pradakshina mantra can also be used for deities. It's a Pradakshina mantra. So what's happening with the Pradakshina? Which is a form of obeisances. The value of submission develops. See? Every limb of bhakti automatically produces a value. You don't have to even bother about it. But if you want to research, you can go back and trace it back. That is the sum and substance of this paragraph. That's why I spent so much time on that paragraph. Okay. Let's move ahead now. Principle and details. Generally, I used to give when devotees used to ask that you give us one of the OBS, I would generally choose this one. Tell me the difference between the principle and a detail. Because if you're able to do that, you will be equipped for sadhana bhakti. You are skilled for sadhana bhakti. Principle and detail. You see? So he is proposing to mention only the basic principles. And after mentioning the basic principles, he is giving references of the principles. Just like the chapter 7, chapter 9, they were references. That's why you see in every principle, you find Brahma Vaivarta Puran says this Upanishad says that. It doesn't mention how to execute the principle. You see, most of the cases, Rupa Goswami does not explain how to execute the principle. Whereas Prabhupada many times give comments where he can tell the details how to execute the principles. Rupa Goswami was only giving the evidence that this principle is coming from this part of the Shastra. Whereas Prabhupada sometimes is giving the implementation, the details. So that's what you need to read very closely. And that book which I referred the other day, Waves of Devotion, that has got many of the details. All right, let's move ahead now and go to the next part. Here, what Vaibhavi Maji was asking about, chapter number 8. Okay, so this is how the chapter number 8 is divided. Chapter number 8 is generally talking about Seva Aparadh. So there you find a list of 32 Seva Aparadh. Seva Aparadh by its definition means that you see this photograph. What is this Brahmana doing? What is the
Worshipping the
Brahmana
deity.
doing?
Worshipping.
Yes. Seva Aparadh term refers to offenses while worshipping the deity. Okay. The word Seva Aparadh refers to worshipping the offenses, because whose service are you doing? This Seva Aparadh does not mean when you are distributing Mahaprasad. No. But yeah, that is also because Mahaprasad is coming from Krishna. So that's a Seva Aparadh. But it's not like when you are serving a devotee, it's a Seva Aparadh. When you are serving Krishna directly, an offense to his prasadam, an offenses to the deity directly, okay, these constitute seva. So the first 32 list is given as part of the supplementary Vedic principles. Then the next 29 comes from Varaha Puran, additional. Okay? And then there are 8 others. So in total, you find more than 64 in chapter number 8. Okay? Dayamaji, go ahead.
Prabhuji, then it means all our 64 limbs depend on only 4 values.
No, not necessary. They depend on depend on 26 values, 26 qualities of a devotee.
What are those?
They produce a list of 26 qualities of a devotee. Okay, let me bring this out for you. Where is it? Wait. Oh. Here. These are the 26 qualities. Oh, sorry. Share. This is the list of the 26 qualities of a devotee. You see? Lord Chaitanya is describing the 26 qualities to Sanatana Goswami. Okay? And you find this in Chaitanya Chaitamrit, Madhya 78 to 83 verses. These are the qualities: merciful, humble, truthful, equal to all, faultless, magnanimous, mild, clean, without material possession. You see, prepare, perform welfare work for everyone, peaceful, surrender to Krishna, desireless, is all this. Okay. It's a list of all 26 qualities. So this is what we develop as a result of sadhana. So this is one of the litmus tests. If you want to know whether your bhakti is on the track or not, you can go back to the list of 26 qualities and see if you can find these qualities in various degrees in yourself. If you can find these qualities in various degrees in yourself, you are safe. It's working on you. It's working. But if you don't find any of the qualities in you, then it's not working on you. That means you can be your own best guide. Krishna has not made you dependent on anyone else. You can always check, recheck, cross-check. Okay. That's a good question. Otherwise, we won't be discussing, we don't have discussed this. So here, so these are the Seva Aparat, chapter number 8. I would rather suggest you to read this chapter in your own time. And tomorrow, you can come up. And if you have any question on any of the Seva Aparat point, there will be many. You will find many of them very stupid. Very stupid. You will find them very stupid. Like, it's like absolutely have no heads and tails. You will find them. Find them, bring them up, we will discuss. Vaibhavi Maji, go on. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I was reading this chapter day before,
You
and I
did?
have to, yeah,
Good.
I have to, although I have a lot of questions, but I'll focus on the two. The first is that a devotee should worship demigod Ganpati, okay, and
Yes.
that we should do devotional service in favor of Ganpati. And the other was that one should not take a vow in the name of God. Generally, we all do that,
Yes.
Bhagwan ki kasam, Bhagwan ki kasam. And the other was that one should avoid crying in front of God.
Yes.
This is
Good.
something we all do, Prabhuji, that we cry, we sometimes get emotions, or we sometimes see Krishna and it gives us immense pleasure that we cry. So I cannot relate this thing with the crying situation, that one should not cry as
Okay,
in,
let's go one by one and we will cry later on. Okay.
yeah.
All right. So here, one should begin the worship of the demigod Ganapati. This is the
Yes.
principle. And you find the detail here. Ganapati worships the lotus feet of Nrsimhadev. You see? So at the same time, what do? We worship Nrsimhadev. Point. So Nrsimhadev, Ganapati worships Nrsimhadev, and we worship Nrsimhadev for the same reason. Becomes auspicious for the devotees, clearing all the impediments.
Is it not, Prabhuji, that it is promoting the demigod worship?
Oh, that's why. So that it does not promote demigod worship. That's why we worship Nrsimhadev, who is worshipping Ganapati. Who is being
Who is
worshipped by
being worshipped?
Ganapati. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
should we worship Ganpati or should we not?
That's why Prabhupada, there are very interesting comments by Prabhupada on Ganapati worship. Prabhupada said, if somebody wants to worship Ganapati, he should give me 1 lakh rupees every month. Because by worshipping Ganapati, you become prosperous. So that money should go there.
Yeah, Riddhi, Siddhi comes.
Yeah, it's kind. So you see. Yat yam what? Vinidhaya Kumbha Dvande Pranam Samaye Saganadi Raja. Vignan Vihantum. That's what it is saying. Vignan Vihantum. Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govindam Adipasham Tamaham Bhajami. So he is worshipping. That Ganapati is worshipping Nashingadev. We should not be astounded by this. I have seen many times devotees, if I tell that Kartikeya is worshipping Vishnu, or Ganapati is worshipping Nrsimhadev, or Indra is worshipping Vamandev, and people become, oh, really? What do you mean by really? The telltale definition of demigod means a worshipper of Vishnu. Vishnu Bhakta Smrita Deva. That is Padma Puran's definition of demigod. How do you define a demigod? The definition of demigod in Sanskrit is Vishnu Bhakta Smrita Deva. According to the Smriti Shastra, a Vishnu worshipper is called demigod. Deva. Asura. Tad Viparyaya. And how do you define an Asura? Those who are against the worship of Vishnu. They are Asura. Finished. Simple definition. This has been defined. Who is a Deva, who is an Asura, everything is defined. Now come back to the second one. Your second question was...
we should not take vow.
Oh, yeah, vow. Wow. So let's talk about vow. Okay, good. One should not, for example, one should not cross the border deities, nor should one take a vow in the name of God. Yes. Not for God, in the name of God. You see? You can take a vow for Krishna, not in the name of Krishna.
Like we are dragging Krishna
भगवान के लिए, हाँ, भगवान के लिए, भगवान की सेवा के लिए आप कसम खा सकते हैं, भगवान के नाम पे कसम नहीं खा सकते. तो जब आप भगवान के नाम पे कसम खा रहे हैं, कसम आप किसी और चीज के लिए खा रहे हैं.
It has our own desire.
You are using Krishna, not serving Krishna. भगवान की कसम खा के कहते हो मैं झूठ नहीं बोल रहा हूं. That means you are trying to establish yourself. You are image conscious, not Krishna conscious.
So, Prabhuji, in the courtroom, when they ask a criminal or victim to take a vow in the name of Bhagavad Gita, is it wrong?
Well, I won't do that. I won't do that. You see the court, in the court, there are desperate people, right? So they are desperate to find out the truth. Yeah. So it's like there's desperate people out there. And even though the judge is an atheist, still he would like to have the Bhagavad Gita or the Quran or whatever religious scripture, so that at least it can help him solve his case. So I can only say that, yeah, the poor judge. That's why those who are intelligent people, those who are regular visitors of courts, you see, and you understand who are the regular visitors of courts, those who are intelligent people, they don't hire a lawyer. They hire the judge.
Yes.
See, पंजाबी में कहते हैं ना, वकील की करना जज कर लो. Okay, so that's in Punjabi we say that, you know, वकील की करना जज कर लो. So it's the same thing.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's an offense we should avoid it.
Yeah.
And the last was, Prabhuji, that we should not cry.
Yeah, now let's come to the crying part. Let's cry together. Okay. Let's cry together. One should not cry or howl before the deity. Okay. So it is saying that one should not cry or howl before the deity, not for the deity. Getting my point? It does not say that you should not cry for the deity. It says that you should not cry in front of the deity. That means what? You're crying for something else in front of the deity. You're not
Prabhuji,
crying for the deity.
natural? Is it not natural that somebody is
Every
in
time
pain
it is
and is
like
going
that.
to his father?
Come again?
I was saying that is it not natural to cry in front of your father? That we consider Krishna as our father, and we are in pain with
That's
some
the
disastrous pain.
point. So you are crying because of the pain, not because of your father.
Okay.
Bhakti means it's
If
for
you
the
know your
father.
father. Mhm.
Yeah. Why should you go to your father and cry? You will be happy when seeing the father.
Right.
When you are
If you know your
crying,
father.
the crying, it's not because you are crying to see your tears are coming out because you are in front of the father. Now there's something else you want the father to get done by the father.
Just like a child
How
cries in front
many?
of his father.
Yeah, how many people cry? But the child is not also selfless. He is also selfish. The child knows when to cry and when to like when to throw tantrums.
Right.
What it is. You see? So that's it.
So, but Prabhuji,
Worshiping
if one
Krishna
cannot
is
control,
different. Yes, come again.
if one cannot control their emotions, and it comes
When you
naturally.
cannot control, that's a different thing. Just like I cannot control my motions. So if I have got to lose motion, I have to run away from the altar and I have to answer the call of nature. That is natural. So it is not talking about when you are out of control. It is talking about what you are supposed to control.
Like crying for every second thing.
Yeah. That's like poor me, poor me. Krishna likes like devotees, are strong devotees. Not like weaklings every time crying and wailing. It's just, and you are not even crying for Krishna. That's the point. Crying for Krishna, we will see. Prabhupada will speak about that in the later chapters. That it is an art and it requires a little, like how to learn this art of crying for Krishna. Crying for Krishna, not crying for something else in front of Krishna. Daya Mataji, I must move after this. Go ahead.
Prabhuji, I have to say something, not I have a question. Like,
Yeah. Okay,
ऐसा
go
होता है
ahead.
ना ऐसा होता है ना कि जब हम अब दुखी होते हैं तो हम है ना अपने बाबा के सामने नहीं रोते, हम ये सोचते हैं कि अगर हम उनके सामने रोएंगे ना तो उनको अच्छा नहीं लगेगा. सो लाइक अगर हम ऐसे कृष्णा को एज अ बाबा समझें कि कृष्णा इज लाइक उसको तो ज्यादा कृष्णा लव्स अस अ लॉट. अगर हमने कृष्णा के सामने रोया और कृष्णा को हमारा रोना अच्छा थोड़ी लगेगा, तो हमें ये सोच के नहीं रोना चाहिए फॉर अदर सेक.
यही है. See, the point is, the rule is, when you go to Krishna, you should go in a happy mood. यार बहुत सिंपल सी चीज है. अब मैं आपको बताता हूँ. मैंने आपको देखा, ठीक है, मैं भी आपसे मिलने आया, आपका घर है, मैंने आपको देखा, या इसी यहीं पे मैंने आपको देखा, और देखते ही जो मैं रोना शुरू कर दूं, ठीक है ना, तो इसका क्या मतलब है? इसको देखते ही रोना आता है. दया की शक्ल ही ऐसी, इसको देखते ही रोना आता है. जबकि होता क्या है, व्हेन यू लव समबडी, उसको देख के खुश होते हैं. सो जब हम सर्विस करने जा रहे हैं, द मूड इज हैप्पी. अगर मैं रो रहा हूं, इसका मतलब आई एम नॉट हैप्पी सर्विंग कृष्णा. आई एम नॉट हैप्पी सीइंग कृष्णा. सीइंग कृष्णा इज अ सर्विस ना. दर्शन इज अ सर्विस. भगवान को देखना जो आपको पसंद नहीं, इसलिए रो रहे हो. भगवान के पास जाना पसंद नहीं है, इसलिए रो रहे हो. मंदिर कोई घसीट के लाया, इसलिए रो रहे हो. क्या हो गया, माला करनी पड़ रही है इसलिए रो रहे हो? पता तो चले, मतलब भक्ति की बहुत सारी वजह हो सकती है ना। गुरु ने कोई सेवा दे दी है इसलिए रो रहे हो? ऑल ऑफ दैट। जब मैं माला कर रहा हूं तो आई एम हैप्पी, आई एम चैंटिंग कृष्णा's नेम. When I have been given allotted a service by my spiritual master, I'm happy to take that service. हर चीज पे रोने का मतलब क्या है? तो हर चीज पे रोता रहता है, उसको पसंद नहीं है कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस.
Prabhuji, if we go to Ranganath temple in Vrindavan,
That's why it is there.
so Pujari says, laugh
Crying
3
for
times.
Krishna is a different thing. We will discuss that later on. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So उसके बाद जो है, we thank you. नाम अपराध. That is different. You see the difference between सेवा अपराध है ना. अगर कोई आपसे definition पूछता है, what is the सेवा? What is सेवा अपराध? Offenses committed at the lotus feet of the deities. That is seva. Simplest definition. And नाम अपराध means offenses committed at the lotus feet of the holy name. और जब ये 10 नाम अपराध हम देखते हैं, जो कि इसी this 8th chapter, the last paragraph is dedicated to all the 10 offenses. You will see none of these offenses. Okay, let us see that, and then we shall move ahead. Okay, let's go there. Here, you see all the 10 offenses. Okay, when we see to blaspheme the devotees, Vaishnav Ninda. Okay, to blaspheme. So in order to blaspheme a devotee, say for example, I'm chanting here. Okay, here say for example, I have my bead bag and I'm chanting. Okay, okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now tell me, how can I blaspheme the devotee? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Tell me, how can I blaspheme the devotee? Hare Krishna,
By
Krishna.
talking ill about the devotee who's chanting.
That means I have to stop my chanting.
You have to use your words, not in your
That's what I'm saying. That means I have to
mind
stop my
thought.
chanting. That means you can only commit this offense while you are not chanting. You will see gradually. Okay, come the next one. To consider the names of demigods like to be equal, independent of name of Vishnu. So in order to do that, when I'm chanting, I'm still chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram.
Utter the words.
Tell me. What?
Utter the words. Utter the or glorifying the
I
Lord.
have to stop my chanting, right? To stop that chanting. Okay. Disobey the orders of the spiritual master. I'm chanting, Mataji. Okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Again,
Hare Krishna.
stopping and then disobeying.
If I'm chanting, I'm obeying the orders of spiritual master. That is the
Stopping and
order
then
of spiritual.
stopping.
That's what I'm saying. So when I'm chanting is the order of the spiritual master. When am I disobeying?
Not completing the mantra and in
I can
between
only
you're
disobey.
stopping.
In order for me to disobey, I have to stop the chanting first. Okay? Again, same thing. Blaspheme the Vedic literature, purpose of the Vedic version. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. When can I do that?
Stop
In
the
order to
chanting
do
and
that, I have to do something. Stop chanting. Okay? To consider the glories to be in imagination. So for that consideration, what I have to do first?
We need to
Same
stop chanting
thing.
and think about
Stop chanting.
it.
Yeah, chanting. To give it some interpretation. If I am giving an interpretation, what I need to do first?
again stop the chanting and do all the offenses.
So now to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name, what do I need to do first?
Stop the chanting.
Stop chanting. Okay, we are already on number 7. 3 more to go. to consider chanting Karma Kanda. I'm chanting. What do I need to
You have to
do?
stop the chanting and then
Again,
consider it.
chanting. To instruct a faithless person, to instruct somebody, what do I have to do first?
Stop the chanting in front of him.
Stop chanting. Okay, last one to go. Not to have complete faith. Maintaining material attachments. What do I need to do first?
Stop the chanting and get engaged.
Getting? So the Namaparad is only possible while you are not chanting. It is not possible while you are chanting.
Prabhuji, in our whole day, we don't chant.
That
Right?
is
We
the
chant for
point. That is the
always
point.
chant.
That is
Always
the
remember
point.
Krishna.
So then it is only when we are not chanting is the time when we are susceptible to this. That's why it is said Kirtaniya Sadahari. That's why it is said Smartavya Satatam Vishnu, what we were reading. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. That's the never forget. If you forget Krishna, then you will have room for these. If you do not forget Krishna by your endeavor, then you won't have any of these. Yes. Oh, Shubham Prabhu first, because he raised his hands long ago.
Prabhuji, in the sense of first Nama Prad, like to blaspheme devotees, like this, we can blaspheme someone in our mind also. Like mind is in a
Yeah,
sense.
you can. You can. But unless till the time you are offending in the mind, it is not considered serious.
But
It is
Mansik
considered
Aprad, there is a
serious.
thing like Mansik Aprad.
Yeah, it is there, but it is not considered serious in Kali Yuga. Because the minds are disturbed. That's why. See, aparads generally happen from the mind only. That is the home. If you see the different kinds of offenses, they start from the mind. Vaishnav aparad, there are 6 kinds of Vaishnav aparad. Out of the 6 kinds of aparad, at least 4 of them comes from the mind. Okay. But till the time, if you are chanting and the aparad is in your mind, it won't get the time to fructify. If you are not chanting, then you will execute. You see? So that's the point. That's why it's so much focuses on chant. If you're chanting, then that's it. Or the other option is keep remembering Krishna, because you cannot always chant Krishna. But you, by a little practice, you can always remember Krishna. So that's the Pandit Gadadhar Prabhu. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji,
Yes.
it's been stated also that it is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. So, what is to be think of in this scenario?
That is the
Because we are
11th
chanting.
one. That is
Yes.
the 11th one.
Yes, we are chanting,
That is
but we are not stopping the chanting, but we are still inattentive. So
that's the 11th one. Not part of the 10 at least. You see? It is an offense, but it is 11th. Pramada. So that is the 11th at least, not the 10 which Padma Purana is focusing. That is the 11th. So that is the only thing in chanting you have to be attentive. It is same as Seva Aparad. Didn't we mention that one is caused by inattention? One of the 4 was caused by inattention. So that is the same thing in attention. When you have inattention for chanting, you cannot commit offense. Just like if you're inattentive while worshipping, you commit a seva offense. So it's basically the same thing. Conceptually, it's the same.
how we can correlate it with Kirtaniya Sadahari? Because if it is Kirtaniya Sadahari, then we cannot be attentive all the time, right? We used to hear bhajans or kirtans, and probably we are not attentive that point in time. We just listen and sing. So how we can understand this?
That is the point. That's why we are saying this, that Krishna, you see the The thrust of Krishna is to always remember him, because that is what is more practical. So, in the spiritual, after a point of spiritual advancement level, the chanting is as good as kirtan, is as good as prasadam, is as good as shravan, is as good as dham, is as good as deities, is as good, everything is as good as everything else. After a point in time, just like that is what the Brahma Samhita is mentioning. Angani sakalendriya vritti mante. All the limbs of Krishna works like all other limbs. Yet, we honor each limb accordingly. You see, when we are looking at the face of Krishna, when we are offering Krishna to eat, we are concentrating that Krishna is eating. Although Krishna can eat with his eyes, and he does. But we are not asking Krishna, oh Krishna, you eat with your ears. He can. But I am not asking. But there is a capacity of Krishna where he can eat through his ears and dance through his nose and play flute through his feet and everything. Every limb of Krishna can interchangeably work as every other limb. Similarly, the same thing, the bhakti, every limb can give you the merit of every limb after a certain point in time. The beginning, kirtan is kirtan, shravan is shravan, vandan is vandan, archan is archan. So after a particular stage of Krishna consciousness, the kirtan, the vandanam, the shravanam, everything is, as we discussed, the part of the whole bhakti, one person. So bhakti also works like Krishna. Any limb of bhakti works like any other limb. But that will take some time. In the meantime, we have to do our sadhana, chanting, all of that. But there will be a time. There will be a time. Vaibhavi Maji, okay, I somehow cannot refuse you. Go ahead.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I'm so sorry. This is one last question from this chapter.
Go ahead.
It's written on
from the
that
chapter.
chapter number 8.
Yeah, let me go back to the chapter.
One should
Yes.
not worship the deity before a non-devotee.
Yes. You don't.
Why?
Don't. Because the non-devotee will be envious unnecessarily. Here.
Can it not develop faith in them if we worship?
Depends. But for that, I cannot put my deity in the line. You see? I won't risk him. Let me explain that. It will take a little time to explain that. This one. Okay. So what are you doing when you are worshipping a deity? You are bathing him. Okay. You are dressing him. You are feeding him. So person who is non-devotee, that means here what is a non-devotee? Karmi, Jnani, Yogi.
Yogi.
It doesn't say atheist.
No.
Part different from bhakti, right?
Bhakti.
Karmi, Jnani, Yogi. So when they see, their conception is that Krishna doesn't have any form. So what will he think?
They'll start putting questions.
Why is she feeding this stone when obviously he cannot eat? Why is he putting so many jewelry on this stone where this jewelry should be put upon us or maybe herself? All of that. He will unnecessarily become envious of a stone. See the point? If it is stone, let us take his argument. It is stone. So why are you becoming so envious of the stone? You see? That's a non-devotee.
So there are 99% chances.
Yeah, if the non-devotee is convinced that this is not Krishna, it is a stone, then why are you getting envious of a stone? Then you will defend, no, I'm not envious. I'm just saying this is all nonsensical, something which is meaningless. That's exactly, a child also does like that. When a child makes a castle out of sand, a sand castle, we like it. We don't become envious. You see? So that's why, because he doesn't have bhakti, he won't appreciate that.
To avoid the argument or anything, we don't do
Not
it.
just avoid the argument. Why should I put Krishna in a situation which is unpleasant? Not myself, for Krishna. Again, or everything. It starts from Krishna, it ends with Krishna. That's it. It's not that because I am inconvenient. I am inconvenient while I'm worshipping Krishna or I'm not worshipping Krishna. This world is made for inconvenience. So my convenience is not a consideration. Krishna's convenience is a consideration. Okay. Shubham Prabhu, I'll have to then. Okay, go ahead.
Prabhuji, but worshipping includes also lamp offering and offering flowers.
No,
So
that's the point. Offering the lamp is what? That's to cast away evil spirits, evil eye. Offering the lamp, offering the arti. What does arti means? Arti means nirajan. Nirajan means casting off evil eye. It is specifically for that reason we are offering the arti publicly. So that whoever casted evil eye on my Krishna, may that be cast away. And what happens? What happens when you are offering the arti? Okay. Say, for example, I'm offering arti to Devika. Okay, like this. So what am I praying? I'm praying that whatever evil influences, whatever evil eye has been casted on Devika, that comes to this. This is the lamp. And then the lamp is distributed. To whom? Getting my point? Getting my point? If you tell those people that Arti means that you have to take Krishna's troubles on your head, the whole temple will be empty. They will vacate the temple. Because that is a fact. They come here to give their problems to Krishna. So they think that this is Mahaprasad coming and they're taking it. Whereas those who are sadhakas and those who are real devotees, they rush to take that. Because they are either practicing to love Krishna or already love Krishna. That is called what we call in our culture, Balai Lena. Before Krishna is attacked, let us come on, let that come on us. We will take it. That is the idea of taking Aarti for the devotees. And those who are not devotees, they are thinking, oh, it's Mahaprasad, you take this thing. And they come and they will tell, oh, Krishna, I'm so much in trouble. This is, take this away from me, take this away from me. So this is one of those things which, like in the beginning, we must have discussed before we start the Bhakti Shastri. We have this 10 rules, classroom rules. One of this is like certain discussions should not go out of the class. So they should not go out of the class. Don't go out and preach this. That this Aarti is actually, like giving Krishna's troubles to everybody. So you won't have anybody to preach then. Be careful. Don't tell people that. Okay, we are already over time, but I don't know. I must finish this. This cannot go on like that. Okay, that's Seva Aparad we discussed already. Here is Krishna personally present. Read on. Ashita Maji, you're there? No, he's not. She's not there. Okay, we need a volunteer. Read for
May I
us.
read, Prabhuji?
Go ahead, go on. Just go on. Already late.
Therefore, our duty is that we should never think of this deity as something made of stone or metal. We should always think, here is Krishna personally present. That is devotion, and we should worship him like that. We should offer respect. That here is Krishna. We cannot do anything wrong.
That's the point. Here is Krishna. I cannot do anything wrong. Vandamui savdhan mate. Worship very carefully. Go ahead, continue.
And therefore, there is a list of offenses in the nectar of devotion. Do you discuss this? So we should avoid these offenses. Not that here is a stone statue. He is not going to see I am doing this offense. Then that is not very good. We should always feel that here is Krishna personally present.
See, they should be discussed. As Papa said, do you discuss this? And then we should avoid this. Not that a stone statue, he's not seen. But when we say that, we all think that, everybody knows that it's not a stone statue, it is Krishna. That is not like what you know. I don't care how much you love. What I care, what I love is how much you care. So I don't mind how much you know that Krishna is a deity. I care what you do when you are right before me. When we go to the temple and when we see people standing there with their back towards the deity and trying to take a selfie. We know this Krishna, but that knowing is not of little help. You see? How you act, that's what Prabhupada is saying here. Not that he is a stone statue. When you are doing that, you are convinced in your mind it's a stone statue. You see? When we are in front of the deities and we are discussing, when we see that there are people who are standing together and they're discussing politics, everything, temple politics, okay, or maybe a little higher standard, temple politics, okay, fine. Not the usual politics, but temple politics. Discussing temple politics is in front of deities. Okay, answering phone calls in front of deities. Texting in front of the deities. WhatsApping, Insta, everything going on in front of the deities. I know it's Krishna, but I don't behave if I'm standing before Krishna. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. Here is a stone statue. So it doesn't matter with the same thing. It doesn't matter how much I say Krishna Kanaya Prabhu, Prabhu, I love you or I love you. But he's going to see my behavior and draw his own conclusions. So let's finish this. It's almost at the fag end. Yeah, another volunteer.
You must see that they strictly follow
Wait.
the
Let somebody else read. Wait. Go on.
You must
Can I
see
read,
that
Prabhuji?
Oh, Shubham is reading already. Go ahead.
you must see that they strictly follow the regulative principles, the four prohibitions, as well as the devotional practices of arising early, taking morning bath, putting on tilak, attending Mangla Aarti, chanting
see?
japas rounds, and
Attending what
attending
he done?
Bhagavatam classes.
You see what he's saying? the follow the regulative principles. And then he also separately mentions the 4 prohibitions as well. You see, is differentiating. The regulative principles are what? These are the regulative principles. You see, arising early, taking morning bath. What does he say? Devotional practice. Rising early is not rising early. Rising early is devotional service like chanting. Taking morning bath is not cleanliness. It is like chanting. If you know, and if you do not know, then even chanting is not chanting. Then chanting also becomes namabhas. If I am chanting, just like so many people comes when they come to our temples and they chant, oh, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, because it's tongue twisting, right? So they are chanting. But is it chanting? It is namabhas. So even chanting is not chanting if you don't know it is chanting. Similarly, the bathing is only bathing if you do not know it is Krishna consciousness. It is bhakti, limb of archana. You start your day with archana. Then go to chant, do kirtana. You don't start your day with kirtana. You start your day with archana. Must know these things. Go on, Shubham Prabhu. We have to cover.
This is the duty of all my initiative disciples, whether they are big or they are small. Actually, in our movement, there is no such thing as big or small. Everyone is a devotee. So everyone is expected to follow the devotional practices.
See, Prabhupada, it's like squeezes out all your false ego. Whether big or small devotee, big devotee syndrome. Prabhupada says, no big, no small, everyone. You see, big devotees. Prabhupada used to have many times, Prabhupada used to say this term, Prabhupada with so much he will use, big devotee. Has become a big devotee now. It's become a big devotee. Okay. And then Namaprad, we already spoke about Namaprad. Okay, just read this. Vaibhavi Maji, read this for us.
Namaprad, even when a person is an offender onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, he can still be delivered simply by taking shelter of the holy names of the Lord. In other words, the chanting of Hare Krishna is beneficial for eradicating all sins. But if one becomes an offender to the holy name of the Lord, then he has no chance of being delivered.
Okay. So if you become an offender to the holy name, then you don't have any chance of, what is saying? What is this?
Delivered.
Deliver.
What do you understand by the term delivered? Go on. Very
Moved
important.
above from the state of Tamogun.
Yes, that is there. You see, talking about delivering. Prabhupada is talking about deliverance. What does the term deliverance mean? Very important to understand this. Deliver.
Taking one thing from one state to another state.
No. That's a different thing. This is not that delivery of goods. It's not even a cricket ball delivery. Okay.
Prabhuji, is it speared?
Come
Is
again?
it speared? Is it speared?
Not spare. Okay, there somebody wrote something. Let's see. Not spare. No, not spare. Delivery. Huh?
In one sense, delivering means from getting out of this material world. In one sense.
Yes. What do you call that in common parlance in Sanskrit? Common parlance in Sanskrit. What do you call that? Very common.
Mukt.
Very common.
Mukt.
Mukti. So it is not talking about bhakti. If you are doing nam aparad, it is not stopping your bhakti. It stops your mukti, because nam aparad, it's one of the 3 legitimate stages of chanting the holy name. Remember? What are the 3 stages of chanting the holy name?
Namaprad, Namabhas, Shuddhanam.
Then I didn't make it part of the holy name. Krishna made it part of the holy name. So there is namaparad. It is understood. But the namaparad do not stop your bhakti. But namaparad cannot give you liberation. Namabhas can give you liberation, but it cannot give you bhakti. Therefore, you must chant only Shuddhanam. You have to come to that stage of Shuddhanam, that which is bhakti. Getting my point? Shuddhanam gives you Shuddha bhakti. Nam aparad gives you that bhakti which has got this traces of all this aparad. So that's why we have to gradually, what we need to do? In order to stop nam aparad, we don't stop chanting. Sorry, again, electricity. We mold our lifestyle. Nam aparad has got nothing to do with the chanting itself, but all the time when we are not chanting and living and leading our life. That's why Prabhupada many times used to say, we should mold our life in such a way that we can always chant Krishna's name. So that molding of life doesn't mean that you stop working so that you have got all the time just to chant. No. The idea is you mold your life in such a way that you can continue chanting. If you don't mold your life and continue the Nam Aparad, you will stop chanting. That is the meaning. People think of molding the life in such a way, that means just like, like, what do you call that? Outsource everything and you have got enough time to chant. That is the neophyte's understanding. The mature sadhaka's understanding is you mold your life in such a way that there are no namaparas, so that the chanting can continue all your life. That's the idea. Okay. So let's finish this now. It's already over time and we are. That's enough. We overviewed the 64 items. We discussed principle in detail today. First 20 we covered, we started with that. Some avoidance of some seva aparad, we discussed just few of seva aparads, and importance of avoiding nam aparad. Okay. So let's finish this with a quote from, okay, fair enough. It's finished anyways. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Today is Monday, right? Yeah. Fine. So tomorrow we will go to the next chapters. I don't know how will I finish this, but okay. Let me see. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All grace to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, pranam to
Thank
all
you.
devotees.